Am I the a-hole for no longer bringing dinner for my wife after she claimed I never cook? I work at a nice restaurant as a cook, and every day when I get off from work, I always cook dinner for my wife and our 2 kids, 8 male and 6 female, at the restaurant before coming home. The only time I don't cook for them are on weekends when I'm off, and that's when my wife does the cooking. We usually trade off who makes breakfast and lunch for the kids every other day, but for the weekdays, I'm always the one bringing home dinner. Weekends, we sometimes get together with friends and they come over to the house. My wife usually cooks and I help set the table/clean afterwards. One of her friends, Stacy, asked how come I never do any of the cooking, and is it always on my wife all the time making meals for the kids, especially when I'm a cook myself? Instead of correcting her, she sort of laughed and went along with it, making jokes about, you know how it is. And Stacy laughed because her ex-husband was the same way, and then sort of ripped on me in a joking way how I better buck up before I become an ex too. My wife just said, well, let's see if he actually listens and starts cooking for once. Joking about all the time I spend in the kitchen at work but won't do the same at home. It really pissed me off. I'm not the husband that just doesn't do anything after I'm home from work. I cook food for her and the kids at work, and on top of that I make separate dishes for each of them, which ones and what the kids want. All that after standing on my feet all day. We talked about it once they left because I don't appreciate being told I'm not doing something she knows for a fact I do. She didn't want to apologize for it because it was all just to be a funny joke. Even after telling her about how it hurt my feelings being put down like that. My wife said she felt like she has to go along with the joke so there wouldn't be any awkward vibes, whatever that means. But I said fine. If she can't apologize for something that was meant just so she could laugh along with her friends, then I won't keep doing something she already claims I don't do. For the past week, I've only bought home dinner for our kids, and she's had to make her own food. She's mad that I'm refusing to feed her over what happened instead of letting it go. But I can't help but feel mad about being made fun of like that, when I'm busting my butt to provide for my family and still making sure they have food on the table every evening. She just thinks I'm an a-hole for how I'm reacting when she's already tired at the end of the day but still have to make food for herself. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your wife missed a great opportunity to boast on you, all for acceptance by others who have nothing invested in your relationship. Not even to boast, it would have felt nice though, but at least say, hey, you're wrong, not just go along with it. As a stay-at-home mom who has a significant other who actually does things for himself and around the house, I've basically had this conversation before. All she had to say is, actually, I don't have that problem. He's a responsible adult and pulls his share. I don't get why she had to lie to keep it from being awkward. I'm sure it was awkward already. Not stay home. Your spouse is supposed to be your partner in everything in life. The person who always has your back like you always have theirs. She threw you directly under the bus for the sake of not creating waves with her friend. Then when you told her you didn't find her comments at all funny, and quite hurtful that she let someone else believe you're a deadbeat, she blew you off. So she can make her own dinner until she sincerely apologizes and acknowledges that your contribution to the family of cooking dinner during the week is important. Not stay home. My wife said she felt like she has to go along with the joke so there wouldn't be any awkward vibes, whatever that means. Your wife would rather hurt your feelings than cause awkward vibes with her friends? Ouch. Ouch. Your response could be construed as petty potentially, but she made her own bed, and now she can lie on it. Not stay home, OP. Yep, she thought it's better to insult you, so she went along with the joke. Nice to know where her priorities are. Not stay home. It's been a week, and she still refuses to apologize? Still cooking for the kids was a good idea. No. Yeah, I won't let my kids starve. They don't have anything to do with this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to teach my best friend's girlfriend to cook and banning her from our kitchen? I, 26 male, live with my best friend, Brian, 26 male, in a rented house. Sometime in September, Brian started dating Cindy, female 24. Brian can't cook. At all. He can make scrambled eggs, instant ramen, frozen pizza, and that's about it. He doesn't even know how to cook rice. I, on the other hand, am a great cook, and I occasionally, 3 to 5 times a month, cook for him as well. Cindy has been staying over more and more often, and a few weeks ago she was sleeping over on the same day I cooked for Brian. She was apparently really shocked I cooked it, because it tastes like it's from a pricey restaurant. Brian made a mistake of mentioning that I offered to teach him to cook. Cindy decided that this offer automatically extends to her as well. So she came to me and told me I could teach her. She didn't ask. She just told me. I told her I wouldn't. We went back and forth and she thinks I have to because I promised Brian I'd teach him. But he doesn't want to. Cindy also doesn't know how to cook anything. She thinks she's entitled to cooking lessons because she is dating my friend. She kept pestering me about this for almost 3 freaking weeks. It only stopped when I asked Brian to talk to her. Now, last week I got home and could immediately smell burnt food. I walked into the kitchen and there she was. She tried to make crepes, burned them to a crisp, and was scraping them with metal spatula on a nonstick pancake pan. I slightly lost it. It immediately raised my voice to ask her what the heck she was doing. She gave me an attitude about how since I'm an a-hole, she's learning to cook by herself. I told her she can do that at her home but not in our kitchen. She smugly told me it's not my decision to make because it's Brian's place as well. I told her it is my decision because everything in the kitchen is mine. When we moved in, the kitchen was empty apart from a single banged-up pan, 1 pot and 3 dull knives with crappy plastic handles. The kitchen is now chef-worthy. I dropped hundreds on appliances, cookware, nice dinnerware, etc. Brian is of course allowed to use everything in the kitchen. I told Cindy that she is not allowed to cook anything in our kitchen. Brian came into the kitchen at this point and diffused the argument. That was last week. Things between Brian and me are very awkward. Cindy has not been over since. One of my friends absolutely went off on me, calling me sexist and classist because not everyone has the same opportunities. Side note, I grew up poor, and I learned to cook on my own. I learned how to make great tasting meals out of ramen, hot dogs, rice, whatever was on the clearance, etc. I don't think I am the a-hole for refusing to teach, but I'm wondering if banning her from the kitchen was a step too far. It's just that I really don't like her. And honestly don't trust her not to damage something on purpose. Edit. The pan is fine. The coal that was supposed to become crepes protected the actual pan. Not the a-hole. You said no, and she should have stopped asking after that. Cindy sounds like an entitled a-hole. The metal spatula on a nonstick pan is utterly criminal. She's better off drinking the batter mix if she wants pancakes. Not the a-hole. She acted entitled and ruined items that belong to you because she wouldn't take no for an answer. And I honestly do not understand how telling someone you don't want to teach them to cook and not use your cookware is either sexist or classist. My friend grew up middle class and seems to think poor people cannot cook because they can't afford it. True for families permanently living in, let's say, motels, where they don't have access to a kitchen. But personally, I think poor people are more likely to know how to cook. As a kid, we could never afford takeout and to go out to eat, so we cooked whatever we had. Not stay home. You do not mess with someone's cooking stuff. Just got a new set of yakushi knives that I'm obsessed with. If someone was using them without my permission and using them incorrectly, I would flip my lid. Especially if they were acting as entitled as the girlfriend. Absolutely not an a-hole. However, if you feel like sharing some sweet appliances you have that I need in my kitchen, I'm all ears. Lol. If I had yakushi knives in my kitchen, I would never get anything done because I would be too busy worshipping them. Unfortunately, money is tight due to COVID, so that will remain a dream for me for now. Not gonna say the specific model as I am not sure they are making them anymore and I bought it in Europe a few years ago. But I think everyone should have a hand blender with accessories. Mine came not only with different heads, but also with 2 containers, where you plug the blender on top and you can change the blades and they will either blend, chop, grate, slice, or mix bread dough. I much prefer it over a traditional food processor or a blender. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for hiding embarrassing notes in my house as a joke because I know my fiancé's mom snoops? I bought a house 7 years ago and I met my fiancé Al 4 years ago. This year he moved in. We're talking about making it a home for both of us, but as of now he hasn't moved much stuff in. Right now 95% of the stuff and furniture in the house is mine. When his mom comes over, she's kind of a snoop. He was used to that. But when she comes to our house, it's so uncomfortable because she's just going through my things. When I'm bothered, She's like, I was just helping with chores, etc. He says I should just let her because she has a lot of nervous energy. One thing she snooped on was actually embarrassing. In my home office, I had a little affirmation post-it note on my monitor saying, I'm smart, I'm skilled, I'm deserving of great things. It was a silly thing my therapist recommended to get me in a confident mindset before an interview. Anyway, she made a comment too about my ego. But as a joke, I decided to do it again. I had my best friend over and we got wine drunk and wrote a bunch of affirmations to hide. Some were, medicine cabinet, my teeth will regrow, I am shark-like and powerful. Kitchen drawers, I know when to spoon, but I also know when to fork. I am sexy and self-assured. Work desk, I will not just sleep my way to the top of the company, I will sleep my way to the top of the world. Walk-in closet, I am beautiful with clothes and without, especially without. My boobs are legendary. There were a bunch more and my friend and I had a hilarious time writing them. Next time my mother-in-law came over, she saw a few. And she didn't acknowledge them to me even though she definitely started acting a little weird about me. I went to run some errands and when I was out, she confronted Al about the notes and was trying to tell him that I seemed unstable, egotistical, and moving in was a bad idea. She showed him the notes and he didn't really know what to make of it. So he asked me and I said that they were just some silly private notes to boost my self-confidence and make myself laugh. How had she gotten them? Had she been going through my things? He said she was just tidying and saw them, and they were really weird. I was like, have you met me? You should know how weird I am. Anyway, if you don't want your mom seeing my weird crap, you've got to stop letting her go through my things. He asked if I left them on purpose to annoy her, and I admitted that was kinda the joke. But I also have other weird or private stuff. So what I said about her needing to stop snooping if she didn't want to find weird crap was still for real. He said I was making stuff hard for him. His mom was really protective and adjusting to him moving in with a girlfriend for the first time. And I was agitating her on purpose and making her think I wouldn't be a good partner when he wanted her to have the opposite impression of me. Am I the a-hole for the note prank? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's snooping through your home. I'd have gone further and left little notes like, nobody likes a snoop, and you aren't welcome to go through my things. But yours were pretty damn funny. It's a red flag if your fiancé stands up for her invading your privacy like this. Haha, I was thinking a set of butt plugs increasing in size to the absurd would be pretty funny. But pointed notes could be too. Yeah, I feel so frustrated because he was okay with her doing it in his apartment. Because she actually would help with laundry and dishes and he appreciated that. But in my house, it's different. Because it's not his stuff there. It's not even our stuff. It's 95% my stuff because I've lived there for 7 years and furnished it and bought everything. And he moved in after selling his furniture and only bringing a closet full of things and some gadgets. So when she's going through the house, it's not his stuff or even shared stuff. She's just going through my things. And I'm not really cool with that, because I don't want my guests helping with my laundry or looking for my dirty mugs. I think on the not funny side of things, I might just sit her down and say I've lived alone for 6 years. I live in a way that makes my home feel like a home. And part of that is not keeping anything but the living room and guest bathroom presentable for guests. So I'm uncomfortable with her as my guest going into the other rooms without asking or looking at my stuff. Not stay home. Don't ask Al's mom to stop going through your things. Tell her she is not allowed to go through your things. Ever. If that doesn't sit well, maybe she won't come over anymore. Either way, you win. Walk-in closet. I'm beautiful with clothes and without. Especially without. My boobs are legendary. The kind of energy I needed today. Not stay home. Also, it's really creepy Al's mom is looking through all your stuff, and then Al saying it's just what she does. Like, what is she looking for? Why does it not bother him that his mother is finding stuff in his fiancé's house, and then telling him about it all shocked and disturbed as if what she's doing is any less shocking and disturbing? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for saying if we had our second child first, we probably wouldn't have had another? My wife and I have 2 kids. Oldest Penelope is almost 4, youngest Brianna will be 3 in June. Penelope was really a dream baby. I got laid off around the time she was born, so I ended up a stay-at-home dad. She would sleep a lot, was generally happy, and from a young age, pretty independent. If I needed to do chores, I could leave her in her pack and play, or on an activity mat with some toys and she'd be entertained. She was sleeping through the nights by 3 months. I knew this was a rare experience, but it did make us want to try again fairly quickly. Even now at 4, she's had her moments and we expect tantrums, but overall she's a well-behaved child. Brianna has challenged us from day 1. And none of it has been her fault, of course. She was colicky and those first few months were hell. She also ended up with a nipple aversion, and it took months and several doctors to find a bottle that worked for her. She needed to be held constantly. We had taken several trips with Penelope and she did great, while Brianna could not cope long in a car. As a toddler, she has been equally as challenging. Massive tantrums, aggression, etc. Way more than an average toddler. We're working on having her evaluated, but due to the pandemic, everything is being pushed back. I ended up going back to work last year and we hired a nanny. We've had to quit due to our youngest being too much to handle. We ended up putting Penelope in preschool so we could get a new nanny that specialized in special needs children for Brianna, and so far she's helped a ton. But we still struggle day to day. It's tested our marriage, and we're both in therapy separately and as a couple. In couples therapy, I admitted that I didn't want more kids, and my wife agreed. I then said, if we had Brianna first, I feel like we never would have had Penelope. My wife got mad and said that was an awful thing to say. I asked her why. We struggled being all Brianna needs as it is. She is probably a kid who would do better as an only child. And given how much attention Brianna needs, Penelope deserves a home where life isn't so chaotic. I understand we can't go back, but I'm just sharing my thoughts. The therapist said it's healthy to share these things. My wife is still mad and says it was a nasty thing to say. I'd never say it to either child, so is there any harm? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You'd be an a-hole if you said this to Brianna, but you said it in the presence of your wife and therapist. You should be able to be honest with your feelings in such company. Honestly, the wife is probably thinking the exact same thing, and is feeling guilty as hell about it and is lashing out at him for giving voice to her shame. Not stay home. It was therapy where you're allowed to say stuff like that. Also, don't feel bad. Penelope was a trick baby. Lots of people get them. They trick you into having another one. Brianna will be fine in the long run, and so will you and your family. Just keep on walking. Exactly what happened to my parents. My sister was a dream. Brother was good as long as he was fed. Then they had me. I've been told if I were first, I'd be an only child. Not stay home. Honestly, it's important to say that stuff out loud in therapy. Then you can both acknowledge that Brianna needs a lot of attention, and then you can do a better job at recognizing when you two are giving all attention to Brianna and not enough to Penelope. It's constructive to have those conversations, even if they're difficult, in my opinion. Exactly. He wasn't saying he didn't love Brianna. My second child is autistic. My elder child is easy to care for and placid. If we'd had our autistic child first, I don't think we'd have had a second. It doesn't mean I don't love both of them immensely and equally. It just means that I recognize that my second child's high level of needs would have meant having another child was not feasible. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to house my pregnant sister anymore? I am absolutely furious about this right now. My sister is 19, and she's 4 months pregnant. Father bailed and kicked her out of his place as soon as she told him, and my parents live on the other side of the country. She goes to school here in our state, so she doesn't want to move back to our tiny little town. Since she didn't have a place to stay, my wife and I offered to let her live with us until after the baby got here. It wasn't ideal, but we have the room and the money to let it happen. First thing I told my sister when she came here, whatever you need, tell me and I'll help you. First thing I told her because I didn't want her worrying about things for the baby or food. We still have all our baby furniture, /toys, /clothes from when our son was born in our garage and in good condition. It's barely been over 2 months, and on the first week, my wife was complaining because she couldn't find her earrings. Didn't think anything of it. Stuff like that is easy to lose sometimes. But then, it started to add up. First, her earrings, then one of my watches, a necklace, a pair of new shoes that we bought for our son, some of my wife's jewelry, my class ring. All this stuff was going missing, and it didn't click for me until I noted a few missing $20 bills from my wallet. At first, I thought maybe it was my son, but honestly, the kid's 7 and still too honest. He cried once after he took an extra donut from the table and confessed immediately, so I doubted he was the culprit. I confronted my sister, and it took a lot of grilling before she fessed up. Her defense was she just wanted to make a little extra cash on the side for the baby. I was so furious with her. After telling her to come to me for anything she needs with the baby, she resorted to going behind my back and stealing from my family? I explained just how wrong she was to do this after she's had a roof over her head, food, and being told to come to us with whatever she needs help with. She apologized many times, but I told her she was going to have to pack her bags and leave. I'll give her 2 weeks to find a new place, but she better be gone by then. That just upset my sister more. She begged me to give her a second chance, but feel like the trust has been broken. She wanted to stay here to continue school. She'll have to find a way to support herself. If she can't, then she can move back with our parents. Speaking of parents, they've been on top of me for the last few days over this, that I can't just kick her out when she has a child on the way. I've explained what she was doing. However, they still think I'm wrong here and need to give her another chance. The issue is how will we know that she won't be more sneaky about it? It's just not a risk I'm willing to take, and my wife is just as upset about this as I am. That hasn't stopped my parents from berating me all the time over our choice, and now I'm not sure I'm being the a-hole instead of giving her another chance. Now for the top comments. Definitely not the a-hole. She stole multiple times from you and your wife. That means she has already had a second chance and a third chance, etc. to redeem herself. I would not want a thief in my house. She can go live with your parents and steal from them if they feel so strongly about it. I'm so sick of people asking for second chances after they've already wasted more than 2 chances. One of my favorite lines I've discovered on Reddit is play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And I feel it fits well here. Yep, she played the how much can I steal before they notice game and won a swift kick in the pants out of there. Seems fair to me. I mean, it sucks she's pregnant, but that should have been her concern when she chose to steal, not Opie's concern when he needs to protect his wife and child. Not a-hole. She's lucky you haven't reported her to the police. Her parents are also a-holes by trying to guilt you into continuing to house her. I assume this is because they don't want to take responsibility for her themselves. They do. It's my sister that doesn't want to move all the way back over there because she's still going to school here. Not a-hole. I have a feeling being pregnant isn't the only reason the boyfriend kicked her out. It may very well have simply been the last straw. I wonder what her story will be of how she came to leave your home. The thefts are only what you have discovered so far. What else is missing that you haven't discovered yet? Things in storage? That kitchen gadget you never use? Art? You need to lock your credit down. If she had access to your files, social security number, DL, BC, and such, I would not be surprised that she has opened credit cards in yours, or your wife's, or your son's name. Do you have any accounts in your son's name? Savings bonds? Education fund? Check them. Are they intact? And since your parents are so determined that a thief to be housed on someone else's dime, buy her a one-way ticket to their place and ship her belongings. It will be cheaper in the long run. Lock down anything of value. You've now given her 14 days to ransack your place. Any way at all for you to get any of your things back? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend to grow up? Me, 23 male, and my girlfriend, 27 female, have been together for about 5 years, and 3 years into the relationship, we had a child. For context, he wasn't a planned child by any means, as we had taken birth control measures. Early on, I wore protection, and then she started taking birth control. Neither of us know how the child happened, but we accepted that it happened and moved on. I finished up the last little bit of college I had and found a job before the baby arrived. She stopped working as my income was now enough, and now stays home with the baby, as we discussed that was what would be best. In the following year, since the birth of my son, my girlfriend has grown increasingly more intolerant. At first, she was elated, Wanted to show him off and was happy to deal with everything. Then it grew to her being annoyed by small things. She wanted me to change every diaper, to split them once I'm home and during off days, and was annoyed by everything our son did. Flash forward to now, and contrary to the saying terrible twos, he tends to be very well behaved. He doesn't cry that much, he adapted to potty training quickly and well, and he doesn't really fuzz. My girlfriend has been going out a lot. I don't have a problem with it because everyone needs time to have fun and relax. This night was a night she went out. A few nights ago, my son came to my side of the bed. He woke me up and told me that he peed in his sleep. I told him it was okay. I woke up my girlfriend and told her and asked her to clean him up quickly while I went and cleaned it. She took a minute to wake up, so I went ahead and left to go clean it up. In the middle of it, I heard her screaming at our son. I go in there and ask her why she's screaming at him, and she responds that it's because he peed the bed. I told her his too, and that accidents happen. This shouldn't be a moment to scold him and scream. She said that since I could be better, I should do it. So I helped him get cleaned up, and then cleaned up in his room, and by that time he fell asleep on the couch. I covered him up and went back to my room. When I got back is when the argument started. I told her that I shouldn't have to handle that alone because she can't control her anger. She told me that since I was such a good parent, I should quit my job and stay at home, and she should go work since she's so horrible. She went on with this for about 5 minutes, before telling me she regrets having our son. A little shocked, I told her she didn't have a way of finding a job capable of supporting us, and that she proposed the idea of her staying home when he was born. I told her she needed to grow up, because the way she was acting will be something he remembers. Ever since, we've barely spoke, and now I'm wondering if I took it too far. I think rather than posting on Reddit about this one argument, you need to see the bigger picture. Your girlfriend is struggling, and clearly not coping well as a stay-at-home mom. You too need to figure this out. Perhaps she needs some therapy to work through her anger towards her son. Could well be postpartum depression. Perhaps you two need to find a way for her to return to work. This is much bigger than one late-night argument, and it needs resolving ASAP. All of this, I immediately thought of PPD. This woman is struggling and needs help ASAP. Not just her, the kid needs help too. If this is what she does when dad around, imagine how she's acting when home alone with him. Not a-hole, but I think there may be different things involved. Your girlfriend may be regretting the lost years of being pregnant, plus having a child. Perhaps she wants to pursue a career. Can you afford to send your kid to a daycare center if she looks for a job? Maybe she's looking to find her identity and not just as a mother. It may be a bunch of things. I'd suggest talking about it, about what you both want, what you're both able to do given the circumstances, and what things you both need to negotiate / give up because you both decided to have a child. And I know it's a mood comment, but congrats on being pretty grounded and growing up so quickly. Not every guy I know would have reacted like you did. Even a part-time job and Mother's Day out. She needs a break and counseling stat. Even if she'd agree to family counseling, that would be a huge improvement. She's drowning. Please give her a lifeline. PPD can appear up to 2 years after the birth of a child. I don't think this is a Nahal question. I think that your girlfriend needs a doctor. She's literally saying the trademark PPD spiel right now, especially if she was excited to be a mother before now. I think you need to prioritize getting her to a doctor. Treat this seriously, and it's an urgent condition that needs attention right away. Take a sick leave from work if you have to, and consider finding alternate care for your son until you can get her into her GP. We explored postpartum depression when she began getting annoyed at small things. Doctor said the past 1 year, it's extremely rare for it to be postpartum, and she didn't believe it was postpartum additionally, because the only real symptom she showed was getting annoyed at our son. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for saying that being a mother will not be my identity? A little background. I'm 25 female, 7 months pregnant with me and my boyfriend's first child. My boyfriend, 28 male, and I got pregnant pretty quick after getting together, 2 months, so everything for us moved really quickly. My problem lies with our living situation. I grew up in a city, as did he. We moved a little outside of it when I found out I was pregnant, so we could save a little better and prepare. We went to visit our friends one day, 2 hours outside of the city, and wouldn't you know it, his car broke down. So we ended up staying with the said friends, and ultimately moving in with them as I would provide childcare for friend's kid in turn for rent. I was under the impression we would be moving back, because that's what I was told from the start. Today, I'm back in the city and living with my mom because the pressure of constantly needing to socialize with roommates got too much for me. There are other issues there. Friends always fighting with her husband. Friend is always blaming my boyfriend for everything that goes wrong. Just a toxic environment I didn't want to be part of. Boyfriend started talking about apartments up there, but I said I didn't want to stay living there. He said he didn't want to move back to the city. I said there aren't many opportunities for me job-wise up there, and he told me it's okay. He can provide for our family and I can be a stay-at-home mom. This kind of took me by surprise. I told him I can't not work. I'd go insane. I told him I wanted a career and I wanted our son to grow up with every opportunity, including the diversity of the city. He said it's okay, I just need to focus on being a mom. I told him being a mom isn't going to be my identity, and I still have my own life outside of the family, as does he. He got so mad. He ignored me for 2 weeks without returning my texts or phone calls. I haven't seen him for a month now, and is acting like I'm a terrible person for even considering that. Am I the a-hole here? I feel like it shouldn't be my job to be the only parent, but he's my first kid, so I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or being a bad mom. This whole situation has made me feel like I shouldn't have gone along with the pregnancy because my feelings and desires became bottom of the list. Now for the top comments. Red flags galore, girl. He is expecting your identity to disappear within your family and not returning your calls or texts for 2 weeks. At this point, you'd be better off a single parent in the city. Not the a-hole. Agreed, not the a-hole. If he ignores you for 2 weeks, that should be enough of a sign. Had my last ex ignored me for 3. Thankfully, he replied when I told her I wanted my stuff back. I got it and blocked her on everything. Also, it's not just ignoring his girlfriend for 2 weeks. It's ignoring his 7 months pregnant girlfriend for 2 weeks. That's just ridiculous. What if she had issues, or appointment changes, or, well, anything? I think you know you're not the a-hole. I think you also know that this relationship is not going well. Ignoring your very pregnant girlfriend for 2 weeks is a red flag, as is insisting on you being a stay-at-home mom. How long can you stay with your mom? Because honestly, I think you need to prepare for the possibility that you are doing the single. Work on looking for a job and finding a place for you and the baby to live in the city. Hopefully, he comes around and can, at the very least, co-parent like an adult. Also, the decision-making of having your car break down somewhere so then you just live there? I know it's not the biggest issue here, but isn't that a little odd? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for calling my wife irresponsible? My wife, 25 female and I, 26 male, have a baby girl that just turned 2, who we'll call Zoe. My wife loves cosmetics. She'll practice a lot and says she's even thinking about starting a makeup artist business. However, she lately has been wanting to practice makeup on Zoe, which I was cautious about but didn't mind as long as it wasn't a full face, nor could she do it every day. She agreed to that. The next day, I heard Z whimpering in her room, so I decided to check on her, and I saw that her skin was terrible. She had a really bad rash and blistering in her face. Her left eye was swollen. Her skin was very irritated, and she kept scratching, making it more irritated. I quickly got us both dressed and rushed to the doctor's office, and it ended up being contact dermatitis. 1 hour after the appointment, my wife came home excited, saying she can't wait to do another makeover on Zoe, and that she bought new products for her to try. I confronted her and demanded that she tells me what did she put on Zoe's face. She admits to me that it was a full face of makeup while I was at work, and that they even went out to the park so others can see her talent. I called her crazy and irresponsible because now our daughter has contact dermatitis, and that she broke our agreement. She got upset with me, calling her irresponsible, and lashed out at me saying she was only trying to make her look pretty, and that she wanted Zoe to have a passion for makeup like she does, since she doesn't even pay attention to it. So now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for calling my wife irresponsible? Not the a-hole. Your daughter is not a doll. Calling your wife irresponsible is an insult to responsible people. Jesus Christ. I have 3 kids who love makeup, / dress up, / nail stuff. The most I usually put on them, youngest is 4, is some blush, eyeshadow and lipstick, not even once a month. A couple times I've let the almost 8-year-old use mascara because she felt left out not getting shadow / blush because of her sensitive skin. We are very careful taking it off to avoid her eyes. A full face of makeup on a 2-year-old? What the hell is wrong with her? My mom let me play with it infrequently at best, until I was old enough to understand what I wanted. This is a whole other nightmare. Not the a-hole. I'm a makeup artist, and I was taught to never, ever put makeup on children, especially babies. For that reason specifically, and because baby skin is still so new and sensitive, and you're damaging it by putting unnecessary products on it that were never meant for babies or even toddlers. Your baby cannot say no, and your baby cannot fight back against your wife. And your wife is treating your baby like a mannequin that should be decorated and showed off. This is not okay, and it needs to stop. I'd also like to add that it's incredibly messed up that her reason was to make her look pretty. Like there's just so much wrong. Not the a-hole. A 2-year-old should not be dealing with makeup like that at all. Why does a toddler have to look pretty? They're toddlers. Your wife is hurting your kid and is also imparting bad lessons onto her. This has to stop before she causes serious damage, physical and mental. She needs a wake-up call, fast. If she wants to be an artist on your kid's face, have her learn how to face paint. With the correct products. Toddlers love sparkles and rainbows anyway. But otherwise, she can get a model head and practice on that. Edited to add. Also, your daughter doesn't like the way it feels, and it's hurting. So, your wife is pretty much guaranteeing that her child will hate makeup of all kinds if she keeps this up. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's family and friends that he didn't buy the house but both of us did? My husband, male 34, and I, female 31, bought our first single-story house a few weeks ago. We both put money towards it, and both our names are on the title. Then days ago, we hosted dinner for his family. My family live in another state, and friends to celebrate this occasion. They brought gifts and took a tour around the house. We had an overall good time. Until dinner. My husband suddenly started telling the story of how much he sacrificed, how many extra jobs he took, and how many years he spent to save for and buy this house, completely ignoring my part or role in it. I was confused. I kept staring at him as he went on about how he found a house and how much trouble he got into to get it. His family and friends looked impressed as he kept saying, "My house this, my house that." I said, "Hold on," and told them that is not his house, but our house, because we both equally saved and contributed equally to be able to purchase it. His mom asked if I was serious, and I offered to show her the legal document. My husband looked at me shocked and got quiet, while his friends and family kept looking at him. He then excused himself to the bathroom for 40 minutes. I had to say goodbye to the guests by myself. He later blew up asking what the heck I just did. I said he shouldn't have lied to them in the first place, and then he asked, "What could you possibly gain by saying what you said? What could you have possibly lost if you didn't? Do you ever think before you speak?" I got mad and replied that he was dismissing my role in buying the house, and I didn't like that. He was like, "Oh, so you decided to humiliate me in front of my family and friends to appear important? Pretentious much?" I found this insulting, but he argued I messed up and ruined his joy in the new home when I could have avoided it. I got tired of arguing, so I went to sleep. He has gone radio silence the next day and has been acting upset for days now. Now for the top comments. What could you have possibly gained by saying what you said? What could you have possibly lost if you didn't? Do you ever think before you speak? Lol, he practiced this speech in the bathroom for 40 minutes, and that's the best he could come up with. Not a-hole. I'm glad I checked the comments. Get out of my brain, Hubo Clown. So, he's fine with humiliating you personally in front of friends and family so long as they don't realize he's minimized your contribution? That's a messed up logic. Not a-hole, but your husband most definitely is. Bit of an immature little crybaby too. And how weird is it to say that she's pretentious and needing to feel important by telling the truth, but he's not for lying? I'm scared for her realizing the type of person she's married. And they just bought a home together. Yikes. Not a-hole. He's presenting the whole thing that he bought the house himself, was humiliating you in front of his family. You just set the record straight. If he was being truthful, he'd have no reason to be upset about your reaction. But he wasn't being truthful, and he humiliated himself by doing that. Exactly. He was humiliating his wife, so he lost the opportunity to discuss things privately. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. There was no reason for him to do what he did. Not a-hole. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for yelling at my fiancé and calling him insecure after he deleted my work project to get back at me for not going with him to his friend's birthday party? My fiancé's best friend's birthday party was yesterday. My fiancé wanted me to go with him, but I apologized and said I couldn't because I had to finish a work project in the evening and barely had time. He said it was unacceptable since the party was held at a prestigious restaurant and all his friends were going to bring their partners. He insisted I go with him, but I told him if I don't complete this project soon, I will lose potential promotion next month and someone else will take my place. He just looked at me and said, I just hope it'll be worth it, then walked out. I called him but he hung up. I got done with my project and went to take a shower. I got out and found him in the living room refusing to speak to me after I asked about the party. I went upstairs to finalize my project, but found out that my entire work laptop has been reset. Everything got wiped, including my project. My heart sank. I asked my fiancé if he was behind this, and he just looked at me and said that now we are even. After I refused to come with him to the party and embarrassed him by forcing him to go alone, and get weird looks and questions from everyone. I started yelling at him and called him insecure to care about his public image and looks, and getting even just because I had to work. He said I contributed to this outcome and should have just gone with him. Now we had to start all over again. We started exchanging words and he told me to stop saying he's insecure and petty. He checked into a hotel and has been staying there, constantly texting about how hurt he was that he had to hear me call him insecure, and refusing to have any consideration for him. He said that I did make him look bad when I refused to come with him, and he was hurt by that. Our ongoing argument is that I keep saying that just because we're a couple then I have to attend every event with him, while keep saying that it's classless and socially unacceptable when I let him attend alone, unless I'm sick or traveling. You spelled ex-fiancé incorrectly. You're not the a-hole. Couldn't have said it better myself. OP, you need to understand that undermining your career isn't just a normal insult or overstep. It is a distinct category because it is dangerous. If his controlling behavior gets worse, which it likely will, you will need money, your own health care, the ability to get out and live independently. You need your job to be safe. If he wants to be controlling, domineering, disrespectful, and do it in the way that undermines your financial independence and ability to leave him, you have to take that seriously. Not stay home. You need to take a really long, hard look at this relationship. What he did is not all right. What he did has the potential to affect your financial stability. What he did was abusive, and I hope you see that. I really hope you consider getting out of this relationship. Because if this is what he does now when you're in the honeymoon phase, what is he going to be like when you're married? Please listen to us older experienced women when we tell you that this is going down a very bad path for you. Not stay home. He compromised your career progress, destroyed your valuable work and time, and has the audacity to turn it around on you and complain about his feelings being hurt? I'd personally block his number and let him stew in his hotel room forever. This is beyond petty. It is emotionally and financially abusive for him to destroy your work. I am letting him stew in the hotel. I'm refusing to answer his calls or go see him, because to me this felt like such a betrayal and undermining of my time and effort. I agree that his behavior has crossed pettiness and is becoming worse. Please tell me you're considering ending the relationship. That's so sinister and petty. You do realize you can't marry this man, right? He sounds dangerous, quite frankly. Pack his things and drop it off at his mom's. Next story. Am I the a-hole for warning my husband and sister-in-law after assuming they mocked my brother with an intellectual disability? Me and my husband are newlyweds. We had just gotten married on January this year. Just for the sake of the situation, my husband is generally a decent man. However, to people who are not familiar with his personality, his demeanor might come off as arrogant and harsh. Anyways, last Saturday, I wanted to invite my family to our newly furnished house, just for the usual banter and some food. My sister-in-law had also decided to pay us a visit that day. After the refreshments, me, my brother, my husband, and my sister-in-law decided to watch a movie. We picked the recent Venom movie as per my brother's request. He is extremely fond of superhero movies. As I had already mentioned in the title, my brother has mild autism and an intellectual impediment. At certain parts of the movie, he would have questions, or he would get confused and ask us to rewind so he could internalize a particular scene again. I would admit there was a fair bit of talking going on, but I was also considerate to the feelings of my brother and sister-in-law, and kept my voice low when explaining the details to my brother. During the entire course of the movie, I could see that my husband and sister-in-law were very visibly annoyed. Sister-in-law would sigh and say, "Here we go again," sarcastically every time we paused the movie for my brother. My husband would also laugh along with my sister-in-law and my brother asking certain questions. He would also deliberately quiz my brother on certain words that were said in the movie so that he could ridicule my brother when he didn't know the meaning of a particular word. Sister-in-law would follow up with rude comments like, "I learned that in the 4th grade." My sister-in-law is closer to age of my brother, so she could have been merely teasing him, but I've found both their behaviors to be very offensive. I almost teared up because my brother already goes through a lot with bullies, and to hear rash things like this even at home would only make his self-esteem worse. After the movie was done, I talked to them both privately and complained about their extremely disrespectful behavior. Both of them got very defensive, saying that they were doing it in good fun, and if anything, they were just annoyed that he kept interrupting the movie. They complained that I was overreacting, but I don't know how to feel. I'm not saying it's not fair for them to feel annoyed, but I just wish they expressed it to me at the start, so that maybe me and my brother could have found an alternate way to enjoy the rest of the evening, instead of them projecting their frustration onto my brother. Am I the a-hole for confronting them though? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but how did you end up marrying such a person? Thank you. I do get that question from my friends too sometimes. My marriage was arranged by my parents. He is manageable at times, but sometimes he can be too straightforward or rude right to a person's face, and I'm the one who has to advise him to not do it again. He is an a-hole and so is his sister. They sat there bullying your brother. Do your parents know what a major screw-up they made when choosing your husband for you? My husband is generally a decent man. No, he's not. He is mocking a neurodivergent family member. Decent people do not do this. They were just annoyed that he kept interrupting the movie. Deal with it. They are aware of his unique challenges, no? So it's on them for choosing to watch a movie with someone who is going to interrupt. I have a friend with ADHD who cannot sit still during movies. You know what I do? I either don't watch movies with her or I watch movies knowing it'll be interrupted now and again. It's not that hard. Am I the a-hole for confronting them though? Not the a-hole, and this is a hill to die on. They should apologize, profusely and sincerely. End of discussion. I'm in a similar boat as Opie's brother. I am awful about talking during movies. I ask questions, I crack jokes, I laugh super loudly, and I make predictions about the ending. Part of that is learned behavior. My dad is a huge movie buff, and part of that is my own autism and ADHD. I can control myself in a movie theater. In fact, I refused to watch movies with my best friend and her boyfriend because they talked all the way through Black Widow at practically full volume. But at home? No way. I'm already super self-conscious about it. I think I've asked my boyfriend if it bothers him 24 times. I don't watch movies with people I don't know super well. I try as hard as I can to be quiet, but it's genuinely a struggle. I get fidgety and uncomfortable and I can't focus on a movie. Behavior like Opie's sister-in-law and hubby, I would break down. I would never want to be around them again because I would be so mortified and upset. Not stay home. When in good fun, there is a big difference between punching up and punching down. They punched down and were condescending. Definitely, especially when they quizzed him, my heart literally broke. Thankfully, me and my brother stayed longer after they left for another movie to make it up to him. Thank you so much for the input. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner he's being stupid? My partner, 23 male, and I, 24 female, have a 7-month-old son. This is our first baby, and things from birth have been stressful in the sense that my partner took a long time to start being a good dad. I was doing 90% of everything until my son was the age of about 4 months. Then it was about 60-40, and it stayed that way since. Well, recently I brought books for my son to read to him before bed, and I thought it was a great idea. We'd be able to have that quality time with him. Tonight, I asked my partner if he wanted to read our son a book before bed. He said, "No, I don't like reading." And I said, "Well, you should read to your son at some point or another. It's a good bonding time." There was just silence and he didn't really look at me, so I asked, "Are you really not gonna read to your son because you don't like reading?" Silence again. So I said, "I think it's stupid how you won't read to your son because you don't like reading. There's plenty of things I don't like to do but still do them." He responded with a very grumpy whatever. He hasn't really acknowledged my existence since. I feel maybe I could have worded it better and my choice of words make me the a-hole. I wanted to make an edit for those who had questions and just about a few different comments. Firstly, thank you for all who commented. I appreciate it and realized I could have worded things better. Secondly, as far as I'm aware, he doesn't have problems reading. He has read things from his phone before and didn't seem to struggle. Thirdly, people have asked why I had a kid with him. And plain and simple, it wasn't planned. It's not excuse, but I pretty much couldn't have kids. Went to doctors and everything, and I was getting tests done because I was trying for a baby with my ex-husband for years, and would either not fall pregnant or end up having miscarriages. We fell pregnant because we didn't use protection one time. We had a discussion when I fell pregnant that if he didn't want to be a dad, he didn't have to be, and he was more than welcome to leave if this wasn't what he wanted. He decided to stay and actually seemed excited to be a dad. Fourthly, he wasn't like this when we first met. He was kind, caring, and helped me out when I needed it and helped me with my disability as well. He now stays home all day with me. He gets paid from Centrelink to be my full-time carer and mostly plays video games. He doesn't spend quality time with our son. He doesn't stop playing games unless I ask him to feed or change his son. I'm lucky if I get quality time with him as his partner. Hope that clears up any questions people had. Not stay home. But, your partner sucks if he can't even read a baby book to a baby. It's a baby book, right? Not like something huge like Wheel of Time? I chose Wheel of Time as an example because I think it's the type of book someone who doesn't like reading would absolutely hate, due to length and scope of the story. I think Wheel of Time would be great to read to a baby. Lol, I once caught my husband reading the soccer scores from the newspaper to our 4-month-old baby. He was listening to his dad with his mouth slightly open, laying completely still like he was reading him the most beautiful story he ever heard. It was adorable. He's 13 years old now and still loves watching soccer with daddy. When my son was a baby, I read him Terry Pratchett's Night Watch series. He didn't care so much what we were reading, so I read what I wanted. When he got old enough to follow a story, we switched to kids' books. But I don't like to read has about zero impact on residing the very hungry caterpillar to an infant. There is more reading involved in a recipe on the back of hamburger helper. Having a kid can be super boring sometimes, but you suck it up to be a good parent. Not stay home. For a literate parent, reading to your child is bare minimum box ticking of being a parent. It is so important to help develop their love of reading at a young age. Is he illiterate or having a learning disability? No, he isn't illiterate, just doesn't like reading. I don't like touching poop, but it comes with parenthood. Am I the a-hole for abandoning a grieving friend after she tried to charge me rent? My friend is a recent widow. It's been a long time coming, but that hardly makes it easier. Her husband passed away at the end of February, and she has been understandably distraught since. I have tried my best to support her through this, even though I can't possibly understand what she's going through. At the beginning of March, she asked me if I'd stay over during the night because she couldn't stand sleeping alone in an empty house. I obliged and temporarily moved in once I was sure my husband was okay with it. She's not been taking care of herself, so I have been doing 100% of the household chores and taking care of her and all her responsibilities as well as working full-time. Well, last week she springs on me how much she'll be expecting in rent from here on out. She heavily implied I was taking advantage of her in her grief, trying to live in her house for free. And that she expects me to back pay her rent for the 2 months I'd already been there. I was extremely insulted by this and told her I'd transfer her the money she wanted, but I would be moving back to my own house, where I am also paying rent. I got my stuff and was out within a couple of hours. She has since asked me to come back, but I have refused. I told her I'd still do her shopping and I'll come over to help her with a few bits, but I'm not spending another night in that house. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't want to pay rent, so you went back to your own house. I think she's a bit of an a-hole asking you to come and stay with her, and then asking you to pay money. I think you've set some healthy boundaries to avoid the situation occurring again. Told her I'd transfer her the money she wanted. Opie, did you actually pay this rent? If not, don't. If you did, what and why? I did. I don't know why. It was just easier. The easiest is to do nothing at all. It conserves the most energy and, in your case, money. In the future, think about this in economic terms. It cost you fake rent from a fake friend to keep you from having an unpleasant confrontation. That turned out to be what you were trying to avoid anyway. Getting angry is okay, OP. It doesn't mean you're not a nice or good person. Don't let people walk over you. Please consider this as an expensive lesson. It's okay, and completely free, to say, lol, no, to outrageous, outlandish, and categorically ridiculous demands of your money. Practice saying it so you can spit it out with gleeful ease the next time. Not the a-hole. WTF? Taking advantage? You already have a place. What did you get out of it? I thought I was being a good friend. You were. I meant in terms of owing her rent money like she was doing something that was a favor to you. I don't know. She has very rigid ideas of when something is owed to her. You stay long-term equals you pay rent. Context be damned, I guess. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole telling my sister to stay somewhere else after she embarrassed me with my neighbors? I'm 31 male, lived at the same home for 2 years, and I'm very friendly with my neighbors. They're nice people. Married couple in their late 40s with one 10-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son. Every weekend since I've lived there, they like to have a small get-together with their family. Not a big party, but they do grill out on their porch, play music, and chat. It's never more than 10 people. Honestly, it never bothered me. Music is always off by 10 p.m. and they don't get rowdy. My family isn't close like that, so it actually feels nice they do it every weekend. And sometimes they've invited me over for a burger. Like I said, nice people. My sister, 27 female, is having problems with her boyfriend, and she doesn't want to stay at their place right now, so here she is. The past month, she complained about my neighbors and how annoying they are. She doesn't know how I stand it, and I should tell them something. But I've literally got no problem with it. And I told her they're not doing anything bad. Well, a couple weeks ago, I was approached by the husband, and he apologized for being so rude. Had no idea what he was talking about. He said my wife complained to him about their loud music the other weekend, and me and her both have gotten extremely annoyed by it. She threatened to call the police if they kept this up because they are disturbing the peace. I was pretty red from both anger and embarrassment. So I explained to him that I have no problems with that and she's my sister, not my wife. Apparently she said that so they'd take her seriously as the owner of the house. My sister refused to apologize and said she absolutely would call the police because they need to learn to not be annoying with their music. So that's when I told her to look somewhere else to stay if she's going to cause problems with my neighbors. Right now, she's couch surfing between friends, and my family's pissed that I was willing to kick her out of my home over issues with my neighbors. My parents are far, so of course they can't take her. And because I'm the only person close to her, they feel like I'm not being a very good brother for caring more about this than my sister having somewhere to stay. I feel like I'm in a way justified in not wanting her to create problems between our houses, but at the same time, yeah, she doesn't have a place to stay right now. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She can find somewhere else to stay. Buy your neighbors a crate of beer and tell them to party on. Good neighbors should be cherished. They don't drink, but yeah, I was thinking of getting a gift of some sorts to apologize. They barbecue. Maybe throw some meat/grill-friendly veg their way. Apology steak works wonders. Not the a-hole. Do not allow her toxicity to continue in your own space. Your voice and choice should be more important than those of your visitors. 1. She had a sense of entitlement in a place that is not even her property. 2. She gave a false impression to others that she is the owner of your house in order to assert a fake right. 3. She created a rift between you and your nice neighbors by threatening them. 4. She did all of these signs of disrespect behind your back and without your permission. 5. She was not apologetic when you confronted her. She has no regrets. You are supposed to feel comfortable in your own house with your own rules, not with the visitors. And when he told her that wasn't acceptable, she doubled down and threatened to still call the police next time. Beyond entitled. No wonder she's having problems with her boyfriend. Not the a-hole, by the way. Can't live with her boyfriend, can't live next to nice neighbors, won't apologize to her brother who is giving her free accommodation, and yet it's Opie's fault she's homeless? That's some twisted logic the parents have going on. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin to move out? I, 27 female, own my house. I also have a 9-month-old puppy and a 3-month-old puppy. The younger one is obviously not fully housebroken. My cousin, mom, and brother all live with me. I've been having a hard time with the fact I am the only one cleaning anything in the house, including the bathroom I don't use since I have my own in my room. Anyway, yesterday morning I wake up to a note from my cousin on the kitchen table saying the dogs are to be crated every time I leave the house and every time I go to sleep. My dogs free roam and I own the house. I'm not gonna be told what to do with my dogs, and they also are in my room with me all night with the door closed. I also woke up to my dogs having busted open a bag of confectionery sugar all over the couch because my cousin forgot to close the pantry door. This was done when I was getting ready for work. This is a constant fight with him. I tell him to close the bathroom door constantly so the dogs don't get to the trash or toilet paper. Everyone else in the house can remember, but he can't. He was also mad the younger puppy had an accident in the house. When he woke up, I told him my dogs will not be crated. The younger puppy's 3 months old and not fully potty trained yet, and the accidents are becoming less frequent. I told him it was his fault he left the pantry door wide open, just like I have to clean up the mess in the bathroom every day when he doesn't close the door. I also told him that I said no D's in my house, and my older puppy found a heroin needle, and I stopped her from chewing it, and thank God it was still capped and empty. I'm home all day with my dog since I work from home, but it's a call center environment and I can't get up from my desk. I told him he's being careless and potentially causing my dogs harm. He didn't like that and we got into a fight. Then I told him to leave. He said I was neglecting my dogs, which sets me off because my dogs are my children, and if he would just clean up after himself, it wouldn't be an issue. I told him before he complains about my dogs, he should learn to clean up after himself and stop leaving trash all over the kitchen for me to clean. He said he was moving out, so I said, fine. You can leave now since you're being so careless with the measures I put in place so the dogs don't make a mess and get into stuff that can hurt them. He called the police and they said I have to evict him but still ask him to leave. My mom said I could have handled it better, but I'm tired of being nice and asking politely when it obviously doesn't do anything. He was also mad I asked him to move his work equipment from my front patio for the millionth time because I said I don't want it there. It looks trashy. I'm just trying to keep my house inside and out clean and keep my dogs safe. Am I the a-hole for telling him to just get out? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Heads up, If he is doing substances, make sure he 1. Doesn't give the dogs any out of spite before he moves. 2. Doesn't leave them, then calls the cops and says you have substances in your house. I'd also have the locks changed once he fully is out. Thank you. Right now, he is staying with his mother, and the police told him not to come to my house with an additional party present for both of us. He is supposed to be renting a U-Haul and setting up a time to get all of his stuff out of my house. And I am most definitely changing the locks. Because even if I get the key back, there's no saying he didn't make a copy already. Just be careful. I'd put the dogs in your room locked if possible when he comes over. Then check everything before letting them out. I know it's a pain, but he could be vindictive against them. Not just you. Not Day-Hall. I also told him that I said no substances in my house and my older puppy found an aged needle. Everything else in your post aside, that right there is more than enough reason to kick him the hell out. And the fact that he wrote you a note saying your dogs were to be created in your own house is sufficient on its own as well. Life is too short to deal with BS, people, family or not. Dude can find a new place to crash. That's what I told him. I told him he should have been kicked out right then and there. He's lucky he's had an additional few months. I'm tired of him disrespecting my house. Not Day-Hall. It's your house. He isn't abiding by your rules and is trying to push you around in your own house? Get him out and make sure the door does hit him on the way out. That's what got me about the note. I was like, I'm not being told what to do in my house. Last story is titled, Am I the A-Hall for assembling IKEA furniture in my apartment? So I, 21, lived in this apartment for 4 years with no issue at all. An old dude, Larry, moved in under our apartment like 6 months ago or maybe a bit more. At first, I had issues with him because I would be tanning outside in underwear. I didn't care if people could see me or I would have put on more clothes. But I felt extremely uncomfortable because Larry and his colleague, who is also old, 60-something, decided to move my items on my table and sit down in my chairs right next to me. They also talked about me as if I wasn't there and made random remarks. I can't stress enough how close they sat and how uncomfortable I was. There are multiple tables they could have sat at. I moved because it made me so uncomfortable and the colleague yelled rude things after me. Later, he's told me when I can and can't work out on my fitness mat because he has night shifts. The mat takes practically all the noise and I work out for like 50 to 60 minutes 3 times a week. Usually around 2 to 4 p.m., not 11 p.m. or 8 a.m. Now I'm assembling IKEA furniture in my room. It's like close to 4 p.m. now. I started at around 3 p.m. I've been as quiet as possible, but now I've come to the part where I have to hammer in nails. About 20 in total. Again, I try to be gentle, but it does go through the floor a bit. I have nowhere else to do this. If I did it outside, the furniture would get scratched up horribly. It's cheap. I've finished 8 nails, and now he's banging on his ceiling, which is my floor. But what else am I supposed to do? Have no furniture and put my plants etc. on the floor? It's not my fault he's hungover today. Am I the a-hole though? I'm having cold sweats because it makes me so uncomfortable, and him banging back makes me really worried he's gonna come up here and yell at me. I never really make noise though, and we've never had any complaints. Not Day-Hall. If he expects zero noise where he lives, he shouldn't live in an apartment building. Your lease probably stipulates quiet hours. Generally, those are 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Pretty much. If Opie had to assemble the furniture at times when their neighbor is not sleeping, that might just as well end up overlapping with the quiet hours time frame. At that time, someone could actually even rightfully call the cops on them. Was I happy when someone was drilling holes in their walls at 2 p.m. while I was trying to sleep after a night shift at the hospital? Well, of course not. But all I could do about it was using some earplugs because people usually don't sleep at 2 p.m. Not Day-Hole. You're doing it at a reasonable time of day and being as quiet as possible. Just finish it up and move on with your day. If he comes up to yell, then be firm but polite. I'm sorry I disturbed you. I do not need to assemble furniture often, but it is a necessary evil sometimes. Have a nice day. Thank you. It's really nice to have a response ready. Not Day-Hole. Also, the behavior exhibited by him and his friend is super creepy. Is there anyone you can complain to about this? I'm very good friends with the landlord, and I'm actually headed to clean one of his other apartment complexes after this. My mom is a bit on the fence though. She wants everyone to get along. I'm guessing we'll see how the summer goes and then take action from there. Update. Thanks to everyone commenting. I was shaking and sweating when I wrote this post, but a lot of you helped calm me down. Sorry for the misunderstandings about the whole essay thing, or whatever we want to call it. While I was hammering, my mom went down to knock on his door and he made some BS excuse but backed off. She's also gonna talk to our landlord next time she sees him because we were good friends with him, and I don't feel entirely safe. Mom got a tight hug. Thank you.